Good evening, students and parents. Hope you're doing well. There are two examples of constructed response in this video. So one is done for you, and you just have to copy the information into two complete sentences. The second one asks you to actually write a statement, answer the question, and put a personal response in on your own with your own words. So the first one is in the words are already given to you, and the second one you have to come up with your own words. So use the first one as an example and a sample to complete the second one. They're both two different passages, so this is a little bit more difficult, but in the second passage, where in the text the answers are located is also given, so that's called citing the text. So that part has been done for you. You just have to come up with the statement, the answer to the question, and then a personal response. Take your time. This is important. This is how we're going to answer all questions dealing with having to write a response answer in your own writing. Other questions that are multiple choice or true and false or fill in the word are different. Those you can do normally as you would in the past. But for fourth grade, we have to understand how to answer a question in writing in complete sentences using the constructed response method. This is a passage that we've had in the past, what makes a gemstone precious? And we're going to be using it for answering questions using the constructed response. And one of the things about the constructed response is you have to look for the answer in the text. You can't just make up the answer. Even if you know the answer, or you can add something to the answer, that could be in your personal response and constructed response. But the answer to the question, the answer has to be found in the text. So these rectangles show where answers are found in the text for this particular sample. Let's look at the page for that. So here's what makes a gemstone precious. Let's go ahead and read through the statements, answers, and personal responses. When questions ask for a written response, use the constructed response method. The statements, answers, and personal responses below have been done for you. So here's a question, and the statement, answer, and personal response has already been done for you. It's already been filled in. The answers to the questions are boxed in the passage. Here's where those answers were discovered in the text. Write the complete sentence by adding all three parts on the lines below. Don't forget your capitals and periods. Actually, there's going to be two sentences here because you can see this starts with a capital and ends with a period, and this starts with a capital and ends with a period. So there's going to be two sentences here. So your personal response is generally a second sentence. Sometimes your constructed response models can have three sentences. It's not limited to just one or two sentences. It can have more than that. So let's look here. What are the 5 precious gemstones? The 5 precious gemstones are, so this is like we learned about phrases. It's not a complete sentence. Emerald, ruby, sapphire, amethyst, and diamond. Here's the answer to the question. So you're going to add those two together, the statement plus the answer, okay, in a complete sentence. And then you're going to include the personal response. My September birthstone is a sapphire. So that's what you would write in your own handwriting. You would copy these 3 parts down here. Okay, fill in all 3. Same thing for number 2 and number 3. Which stone is hardest? Now, the answer for which stone is hardest is number 2 here. Diamonds rate 10 because they are the hardest substance known. So everything for the constructed response has been done for you on these 2 pages. You just have to write the constructed response down here and include it as a complete answer. So that's the easy part. The second part, you have a passage that we've read before, what tree rings tell us, okay? And the location in the text that helps answer the questions are boxed. So these rectangles are also where the answers to the questions can be found. If the answer is in the text, it's 100% correct. That's how you can guarantee yourself that you're getting the correct answer, because you found it in the text. And those locations have already been boxed for you here. Now here's our constructed response model, statement answers and personal responses. Okay, let's go ahead and read what it says here. When questions ask for a written response, use the constructed response method. The answers to these 5 questions are boxed in the passage. Okay, so it's reminding you that this is where the answers are. Write the complete sentences by adding all 3 parts to the lines below. Don't forget your capitals and periods. Okay, so what tree rings tell us? Add the parts of the constructed response method to the lines below. Statement. Let's look at this question first. How often is a new layer of wood added to the bark of trees? A new layer of wood is added to the barks of trees. That would be your statement. And then you have to find your answer in one of these rectangles. Where is that going to be answered in this passage? You include your personal response, then you put all 3 of these together. Okay, and there's 5 of them. What does dendrochronology mean? Remember that word? That's a big long word. Here's dendrochronology here, and here's the rectangles that show where to include that as your answer. But first, you're going to have to make a statement here. Dendrochronology means, and then come up with your answer, and then come up with a personal response, and then add all 3 here. Question 3. What do wider tree rings tell us? Wider tree rings tell us what? Well, you're going to have to look back at your text to come up with the answer, and it's in one of those rectangles. What do narrow tree rings tell us? Same thing. Narrow tree rings tell us. Come up with your answer by finding it in the text. Put a personal response down here. Combine all 3. And the last one. How are forest fires recorded in trees? Again, it's somewhere here in the text. Forest fires are recorded in trees by, and then find your answer, a personal response, combine all 3. So that's a bit of work to do. Take your time. Make sure you have complete sentences, and try and do your best work with this. It's an important part. In your science, there's 3 questions in there that have constructed response, so we're trying to really become very proficient in being able to use the constructed response method when we're asked to write a short statement to answer a question.